I'm Katie Clancy, CEO of the Cape House at William Ravis, and you are watching the Cape House Show, where we give you the tips, tools, and sense of humor you're gonna need to get through the biggest transaction of your life. Okay, on that topic, today we are talking about the emotional roller coaster of selling your house. Picture this, you're thinking about this, even for a couple of years, even like, okay, we'll sell the house at this point, blah, 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 that'll be perfect, then we'll go here, and all the math works and everything, and it's a perfect plan, and you've thought it out so carefully. But when the rubber hits the road and it's actually time to put the house on the market, you go through a lot of emotions, and you're not necessarily at your best. Let's just put it there. And that's okay. We get that. We completely get that. Because, no matter how many plans you've made, no matter what you've thought about, when you actually, I think the first scary moment is when you've invited the real estate agent into your home. And you're like, oh my God, this is getting real. Someone is actually looking at my house to sell it. We actually took a step. And that, it's kind of funny. Sometimes we'll go in for a listing appointment and, people get a little emotional, and that's okay. That is okay. It's a big deal, and that first step is a big step, and don't be surprised if you start to feel a little sad when it happens. The next big scary time is when, we talked about staging last week, so when we stage the house, we completely change it. We're changing everything about the way you live, where you put this particular painting or little, tchotchke or whatever, something that has meaning to you. Suddenly everything's moved. Suddenly everything's changed, and this house has to look sort of neutral and not like yours anymore. And that is actually true. It needs to not look like yours anymore. We need to make it look like, in many ways, a commodity, especially not just for the buyers, for you. It's important that you can move on from this home and transform it for yourself in your own mind into just a house. It's got to be just a house so that you can take your emotions out. And the best way that you can do that to help that transition from when you're selling that house and it's so hard is to get a really clear picture about where you're headed. What's exciting, what's compelling about where you're going to. Because chances are, particularly if this is your primary home, you're heading to another primary home, which, by the way, might be someone else's primary home right now, and they're going through the same thing. Or maybe you're building a home, which is also incredibly emotional. But either way, having sort of an eyes on the prize, a next step in your head, is a really good way to help you through the hard parts. But let me tell you, there's no way around it. There's no way around that feeling of, I think one of the hardest parts for sellers is feeling out of control. It's kind of not in your hands anymore. If you did everything we asked you to, we staged it, you did all your inspections, it's as clean as a whistle, you kept it up nicely, there's really not much else you can do. Now our fate is in the hands of photographers and writers and the MLS, and really, at the end of the day, it's in the hands of the buyers. It is really a crapshoot. You just don't know which buyers are going to be out there when your house goes on the market. And it can be maddening to not know why your house hasn't sold yet. And one of the ways to avoid that challenge of why isn't my house sold yet, is to have a good conversation with your real estate agent before, so they can set your expectations appropriately. Because you know what? You're going to have an expectation, and it might not match up with what reality is. And so if you're in a hot market, my house is going to sell in 2 days, that actually could happen. But what if it's not the, wheelhouse kind of property that people are all looking for? What if it's a little bit higher end? That's going to take a little bit longer. Or if it's a really custom house, that's also going to take a little bit longer. The other thing that happens is the people whose houses do sell really fast, sometimes that is a shock. And you didn't expect it to happen so fast. And it's like, I don't know. Did we do the right thing? Did we ask enough money? Should we have waited? Oh my gosh, what is going on? The best way to avoid those kinds of stresses is to have really good communication with your real estate agent in the beginning to talk about your house is probably going to sell in X amount of time. Okay, get your head wrapped around what that is. If your agent says this could sell at the first open house, you've got to be ready to deal with that. And if your agent says, listen, I have no idea, you've got a really unique house and it's going to be a really unique buyer, be ready for it to take a little while. So there you go. Selling your house is a crazy emotional roller coaster, but the best way to keep a smoother ride on that roller coaster is lots of communication. People need to talk to each other. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions 2 or 3 times because you're not yourself. You might not remember the answer. And if you're with a good real estate agent, they will answer your questions 10 times if they have to. All right, if you want to ask us a question 10 times, we will answer it 10 times. And you can find us at thecapehouseteam.com.